Most people think becoming energy independent at home is just about buying the right equipment. Solar panels, batteries, maybe a generator. Install it, flip a switch, and freedom follows. That assumption is where most people get stuck, because what actually happens after the purchase rarely matches the expectation. The system works technically, but the sense of independence people imagine never fully arrives. At first, the motivation feels clear. Rising energy bills, power outages, a desire to rely less on utilities, maybe even a deeper feeling that the current system is fragile and out of your control. So people start researching. They compare panel efficiency, battery capacity, backup runtime. They watch installation videos and run the numbers. On paper, it all seems straightforward: generate your own power, store what you don't use, disconnect when the grid fails. But once the system is installed, a new reality sets in. People realize they're still checking the weather more than they expected, still watching usage graphs, still adjusting habits around peak hours, still calculating trade-offs: what can run, what can't, and when. Instead of feeling independent, they feel managed. That's when frustration starts creeping in, because the effort feels disproportionate to the reward. The system works, but it doesn't remove uncertainty. It just moves it into a different place. So people try to optimize. They add more panels, upgrade batteries, fine-tune consumption. They get smarter about load balancing and backup priorities. Each improvement helps a little, but none delivers the clean break they imagined. The logical conclusion becomes, I just need a better setup. But that conclusion quietly misses something important. Home energy independence isn't just a technical problem. It's a structural one. At the surface level, people focus on visible components: hardware, capacity, efficiency. Those are easy to measure and compare. They feel concrete. They feel solvable. Underneath that, there's an invisible layer shaping everything. Homes are designed around grid assumptions. Appliances assume constant availability. Heating, cooling, cooking, and connectivity all evolved with the expectation of near infinite supply on demand. When you try to become energy independent, you're not just adding equipment. You're pushing against decades of design assumptions embedded into everyday life. At first, the explanation stays shallow. People say the batteries aren't big enough, or the panels don't produce consistently, or the payback period is too long. Those explanations feel rational, but they're incomplete. Costs feel high because redundancy is expensive. Reliability feels fragile because homes were never meant to self-regulate power the way utilities do. Complexity feels overwhelming because you've taken responsibility for a role that used to be invisible. Then comes the turning point. The real issue isn't that people don't generate enough energy. It's that independence changes the relationship between consumption and responsibility. On the grid, scarcity is abstract. At home, it's personal. Every decision becomes connected. Running the dryer isn't just a habit, it's a choice. Comfort, convenience, and timing become part of the energy equation in a way most people have never experienced before. This is why many people quietly reconnect more than they planned, or stay partially dependent even after investing heavily. Not because the technology failed, but because full independence demands behavioral and structural adjustments most people didn't anticipate. Once you see this, the pattern becomes clearer. People who feel satisfied with home energy independence usually aren't chasing total disconnection. They're designing for resilience, flexibility, and partial autonomy. They accept limits up front instead of discovering them later. Instead of asking, how do I cut the grid completely? They ask, where does independence actually matter? That shift changes everything. IT reframes energy independence as a spectrum, not a switch. Backup during outages, reduced exposure to price spikes, more control during peak stress moments, not constant self-sufficiency. This perspective also removes a lot of self-blame. It's not that people misunderstood the math. It's that the promise of independence is often presented without acknowledging the structural trade-offs underneath it. Energy systems reward scale. Homes reward simplicity. Trying to merge the two creates friction, not failure. Understanding this helps people make better decisions before they invest. It changes how systems are sized, how expectations are set, and how success is defined. IT also explains why many home setups quietly evolve over time. People start with idealism, move through frustration, and land somewhere more realistic, a system that supports life instead of dominating it. Energy independence at home isn't about escaping systems. It's about choosing which dependencies you're willing to manage directly. Once you recognize that, the entire idea becomes calmer, clearer, and far more practical. If you want a structured breakdown of how people approach home energy independence, including the trade-offs most don't see at first, there's a practical framework linked in the description. If this kind of grounded analysis helps you think more clearly about energy decisions, consider subscribing. More long-form explanations like this are on the way.